This song here is a song that changed my life. I was a young man out of the United States Navy in 1965. I was going to college on a GI Bill, and somebody told me that Reverend Gary Davis gave guitar lessons for $5. Reverend Gary Davis, the legendary blind guitar picking preacher, came to New York 1935 to make blues records, but that's when he got religion. He recorded one blues song, one record, two songs, and then he made a bunch of Christian songs, and he ended up singing on the streets of New York until the big folk music scare of 1960. Peter, Paul, and Mary put a group together and recorded Reverend Davis's version of his spiritual song about Samson and Delilah. Records sold millions. Peter, Paul, and Mary became pop stars, and being good folk singers, they told their manager and their lawyers they wanted Gary Davis to get paid. Reverend Davis was sent for. I love to picture him in the office of all these lawyers and lawyers, the old blind guy sitting in the chair wearing a pork pie hat. And they said, well, Reverend Davis, did you write this song about Samson and Delilah? And he said, I never wrote any songs. And then lawyers started to grin and poke each other in the side. You know how lawyers are. Now we got some out here today. Oh, they'd admit to it. Just kidding. They were still grinning and poking when Gary Davis leaned back in the chair, a blind man with sunglasses on. He said, that song was revealed to me in the spring of '27. Peter, Paul, and Mary pointed at the contract and made the lawyers put Reverend Davis's name down. He put his mark down. They counted out $500 for the old blind guy. A lot of money for a man singing on the streets in 1960. And that was just the beginning, because the folk music scare really took off, and there were folk singers everywhere, in coffee houses and universities and festival here and there. Gary Davis started to get checks in the mail from Peter, Paul, and Mary's hit record. Within 2 years, Reverend Davis had him his own folk music manager and his own folk music lawyer, had a record contract, and he built a house in Long Island we still lovingly refer to as the house that Peter, Paul, and Mary built. I had the phone number sitting on my bureau for about 2 weeks. The fella gave it to me. I called up Reverend Davis, and it's a long story. I ended up at Reverend Davis's house and had a guitar lesson for 5 hours. He said, what can you play on the guitar? And I knew this Candyman blues song was associated with him. Played him the Candyman blues song. He said, good God almighty, it sounds like Dave Van Ronk. Dave Van Ronk was my first guitar hero. I loved the way Dave played, and I liked the way I played Candyman because I played it his way. Gary didn't like when Dave Van Ronk or anybody changed the arrangements. He wanted you to play it properly. For 5 hours, he's trying to get me to unlearn my best song. I was fighting it. Ended up, by the time I left, Dave didn't like the way I played it, neither did Gary, but they're both dead, and here we are, the Suwannee Springfest. I'd do anything in this God almighty world to keep the Candyman home. Big leg Ida, big leg Ida, big leg Ida, woo! Big leg Ida, big leg Ida. I sure do loves that big leg gal, God knows I do. Candyman, salty dog, ooh, Candyman, salty dog. Well, if you won't be my Candyman, I won't be your salty dog. Run and get the bucket, get the baby some beer. Run and get the bucket, get the baby some beer. Run and get the bucket, get the baby some beer. Candyman. Run and get the bucket, get the baby some beer. Run and get the bucket, get your big ass out of here. Do anything in this God almighty world to keep that Candyman home. Little red light, little green light. Little red light, ooh, little green light. Little red light, little green light. You know you stop on the red, then you go on the green. You don't mess with this in between. 5 hours of guitar lesson. That was the first time I went to Reverend Davis's house, and I had to eat soul food. I I was a long-haired vegetarian with a mustache. Had to eat. Mrs. Davis put out a dinner. Boy, I knew something was happening because the house really smelled weird. Went back for my second guitar lesson. Reverend Davis said, "Don't come by for 3 weeks. I'm going on tour." I said, "I got $50 saved up. I'll go on a tour with you." He laughed at me. He said, "$50 ain't gonna get you very far." 1965. Before I left, he said, "If you want to go, you be here tomorrow morning at 6:30. Bring your $50 and I'll take care of the rest." He said, "I'm going to straighten out your Candyman Blues song." The next day I was banging on the door at 6:30 and Mrs. Davis came in at the door in a house dress, hair up and curly. She says, "What are you doing here?" I says, "Well, Reverend Davis said I was going on a tour with him to be here at 6:30. She said, "He's sound asleep. Train don't leave till 6:30 tonight. Come in, I'll fix you a nice breakfast from leftovers." Candyman, salty dog. Candyman, salty dog. Ended up dropping out of school and going on the road with Reverend Davis on and off for a few years. Never did get to like the food, but had a good time. Reverend Davis wished he could be here too, believe me, but he's dead. May 5th, 1972. Man changed the world. His music recorded by the Grateful Dead, York McCalkin and the Hot Tuna, Taj Mahal, Peter, Paul and Mary, the Blasters. He had a good manager. Andy Greenhill, Folklore Productions, copyrighted all the songs, got the publishing on them. Collected money for the Rolling Stones for You Gotta Move. Say there's a lot of money in songwriting. I just like the way this guitar part went. It tickled my ear. I never realized at the time it was going to ruin my life. Candyman, been and gone. Candyman, been and gone. Candyman, been and gone. Well, I wished I was down New Orleans, sitting on a Candyman stand. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, Reverend Davis changed my life for the better.